Hey everyone, welcome to another great episode of the Smooth Business Growth Podcast, where we share 15 minutes of fast-paced, pure marketing strategies proven to move the needle in your business. So I'm your host and Captain Lindsay Phillips. I'm the founder of Smooth Sailing Business Growth, where we help busy entrepreneurs attract and convert customers faster through powerful and consistent content marketing. In fact, if you go to smoothbusinessgrowth.com, you can download your social media roadmap to help you do just that. So we all know here that writing a book is key in creating your authority platform and showcasing yourself as an expert. But for many, including me, it feels like such a big task to get it done. So this is why I absolutely had to have Mitchell Levy on my show. He's not only the best-selling author of over 60 books, but he is the aha guy with ahathat.com. So he helps people get their books out with ease. So let's set sail. Welcome aboard, Mitchell.
Captain Lindsay, great to be here.
Awesome. So we were talking beforehand, and many of my peers are like, are you ever going to get that darn book done, Lindsay? Why do we struggle so much getting it done?
You know, because it's since the Gutenberg press, since the Bible, we have put so much credibility in this concept called a book. And we've been brought up to believe that we all have the great American novel in us, and if we only wrote it down, life would change, Oprah would come, we'd be tapped, and life would be different. And, you know, these are great dreams to have, and so is winning the lottery. Here's the important part, and even when I'm hearing you speak, here's what you're saying. How do I spend the time to write my book? And let me change the notion. Okay. So here's what we do. Let me give you my quick pitch so you know where we're coming from. And that is, we work with busy, successful professionals who recognize the need for more credibility. They want to do it through a book, but they don't have time.
Yes.
So imagine 4 months from today, you're an Amazon best-selling author. We have ghostwritten, published, distributed, made you that best-selling author, and you've spent as little as 5 hours. So we press the easy button. Now, I was exactly the way you were from 2005 to 2017. I've been running a publishing company. We published over 800 books. Wow. And what I could say, I was serving the wrong audience. And the wrong audience, essentially, I was serving me. And what I thought I wanted to do is I thought I wanted to make it easier for me to write books. Mm-hmm. And what I realized at the end of 2016, I did a Kickstarter. At the end of 2017, I did a TED Talk, and it got me thinking about, am I serving the right audience? And it turns out that I was serving me, but I was thinking incorrectly. It's not how easy I could write a book, but rather how easy can I get other people to write the book for me? And so 2018, we started the Done For You service. And it completely changes the landscape of what we're focused on. And essentially what happens is I help the person do a book that is that credibility piece. And here's the most important. We talked a little bit about what we should cover. Yeah. And we talked about what is the topic of your book. Well, let's step back and say, what do you need credibility for? So when somebody hears who you are and what you do, right? So, hey, I'm Captain Lindsay Phillips. I focus on helping launch podcasts. I focus on putting funnels in place. I focus on, and there's at least 4 or 5 different things. Sometimes one area of your business is stronger than another. Right. Well, what happens if people know you or they get recommended to you? That level of trust is already brought your way. What if they don't know you and they say, how do I start a podcast and put a funnel on it? Well, if they went to their friend Google and they typed that in, you'd want them to come up to you. Well, what happens if they came up to the title of your book and all of a sudden they see the title of your book and the title of your book is the pain point they want to solve? When we focus on a book for somebody, we focus, I call it the CPoP, the customer point of pain. And we ask the now soon to be Amazon best-selling author, what is your CPoP? What is the point of pain you solve? And the book, that actually turns out to be the title of the book? Because it's really simple. If you hand somebody the title of your book, you hand somebody your book, and it's the problem they have to solve, they don't even have to crack it open to realize that they have trust in you and they want to talk to you and learn more. That's so anyhow, I answered 2 or 3 questions. That is, what do you write your book on? Well, I would say you don't actually, in today's world, you don't actually have to write it yourself. Well, you can. We have a process you can write yourself, but we press the easy button. And what's the topic? The topic is the topic that will give you the credibility so that those people who don't know you can more immediately go, hey, I'm interested in learning more.
I like how you reframe our outlook on it, so it doesn't feel like such a massive task, because you've narrowed down the focus to like one thing, and that to me even feels like, whew, okay, it doesn't have to be about everything.
Well, think about what you do when you put a funnel in place for somebody, right? When you put a funnel in place for somebody, you're going to say, who's the target audience you're going after? And if you're doing Facebook funneling, you're looking for something with a target audience between 2 and 10 million, right? And so what you have to do is narrow down who's the demographic, what's the issue that they're looking for, how do you fine tune a reasonable audience size for the amount of money you want to spend and the time you're doing. Well, that's what we're doing with your book. And if you could do a book in 5 hours of time, 4 months down the road, every time you want a new book, you could have one. If you could think to yourself that you could have books that quickly, well, then you don't have to worry about writing the great American novel. You're in essence putting the asset together that's going to help you generate more leads, more qualified leads, more warm leads, because they already trust you because they've seen you're the author of a book of a problem they want to solve.
Right. It feels like a weight it like gets lifted from your shoulders when you put it in that perspective.
It's cool, right?
I know. I was like, whew, okay.
or can we say, aha?
Aha, there you go. Absolutely, we can.
Okay.
So absolutely, we want to focus on their point of pain. I love your acronym, CPoP. Do we still have to lay out like a book outline? Is that crucial? Like, are there do's and don'ts when it comes to laying out like what the chapters are?
So we have, if you went to ahathat.com/author, we do have a 3-step process for writing a book if you want to write it yourself. You could save a little bit of money if you write yourself. If you want us to ghost for you, what happens is I have and this is step 1 on that page, it's a 4 questions document. And the 4 questions document is very important and it's very simple, but it'll take you about an hour or 2 to really put it together. It's things like, what's your name? You got that. What's your bio? Probably the most important issue is, what is the title of your book? And more importantly, and this is question number 1, who is your prospect and what is their pain point? I.e., the way we actually wrote it is, who is the reader and what are their expectations? Yeah. And what we want to focus on there is once again, what is the CPoP? And then when you know your audience and you know the CPoP you're solving, then coming up with a table of contents. So one of the questions is, do you have a table of contents you'd like to put together? Okay. And it's really a logical flow whose intent is just to continue to generate trust in the person on the other side. Okay. Right? Because if somebody looks at your book, so a good example, I have a book, it's a beautiful orange cover. It's associated with the same thing I did on my TED Talk. And if you want to see my TED Talk, you can see it. The book title is called Being Seen and Being Heard as a Thought Leader. So you can either Google that name or Google Mitchell Levy TED Talk, and you can see my talk. And I'm holding my book in my hand, and it's hardcover, and I just want to do this. Doesn't that sound really cool? Doesn't it sound like it's full of information? Yes. When I'm holding this book in the air and I'm talking, so imagine, Lindsay, I'm sure you've done this before. 30 people are in a room. They all introduce themselves for 10 to 15 seconds. You don't remember what anyone is. Everyone says something and you have no clue. Mm-hmm. And you know what they're saying? Amazon best-selling author. And you're like, oh, man, I got to write that book. They're saying course developer, coach, speaker, funnel creator, right? And you're like, huh? So let me introduce myself, and you'll know exactly what I'm saying. And I use those words, but I'm using those words as adjectives. The only noun is the title of my book. All right, so let me introduce myself in 10 seconds. Here I am, Mitchell Levy, and I'm holding my orange covered book in my hand. Mitchell Levy, global credibility expert, TEDx speaker, international best-selling author of the book, Being Seen and Being Heard as a Thought Leader. Now, when I give the title of the book, I actually move my fingers down the page so people see it and they get gravitated and they see the book. And then if you're in the audience and you want to be seen and be heard as a thought leader, you're going to talk to Mitchell. It doesn't actually matter what's inside my book. And just so you know, what's inside my book, we write the way people want to consume data. We've got 140 bite-sized quotes, 7 blog posts. So we also now have content that can be used very easily on social media as part of your funnel, as ways in which you now are communicating, because people want to hear things in short sound bites.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. And even like it's how you're framing and positioning yourself, and then having the book, in front of you or whatever. It just has that much more impact. And it does. You're right. It explains who you are and how you can help.
Yeah, it's what's really cool when you had a cocktail party, right? Because imagine you go to a party and it's not your normal networking crowd, and you don't want to talk to people and say, hey, I can help you with your funnel, or I could write your book, right? That never works.
No.
However, if somebody says you're a new author, you're an Amazon best-selling author, or hey, look at that guy, he's written 60 books, right? And then they come over and say, what book did you write?
Yeah.
Well, just so you know, I never answer that question immediately. I say, so who are you? Because what I'm listening for is who they are and what pain point they have. And maybe I have a book that has solved their pain point.
Right.
So when I tell them what book I wrote, it's the one that's relevant to them.
For sure. That's perfect. And excuse me. And I love that you, again, simplified it. And I think, we feel that the whole process is so overwhelming. There's the title and the table of contents and, what to include in the chapters. And I know for, me being perfectionist, like we get so hung up with what the words are that we self-edit as we go through it. Like, is there an easier way to break down the process so it doesn't feel overwhelming?
So I would say that the steps that if you go to ahathat.com/author, it's a 3-step process, right? So step 1 is a 4 questions document.
That's easy.
If you fill out the 4 questions document, think about that as a project plan for your book.
Okay.
Right. And so you may, at the end of the day, you may know what your table of contents are, or you'll have at least 5 of the chapters you want to make sure get covered. You may not know the author, the order. A lot of times if people have a 5-step methodology, they have a 7-chapter book, right? There's an intro and a conclusion,
right.
and each step is a chapter, right? I mean, that sort of stuff becomes easy once you have identified who your audience is, what the book's going to be about, what you're writing about, because then you're like, well, how do I make sure they're happy? What we have as step 2 is we talk about, if you're writing yourself, what makes a good message? What makes a good aha message? What is something? And so I have a single-page PDF on how to do that. And then step 3 is an Excel spreadsheet where people put in their content.
Yeah.
And so for those people, when we're ghosting, I'd like you to fill out the questions first, because then I know what the interview is. But in essence, I'm doing a 2 to 3 hour interview. And given that you love the audio component of it, I do this on phone only, because I want to record a session where we're spending 2 to 3 hours talking about your CPoP, talking about what's relevant. And what I do is I put myself in the mindset of your prospect, and I'm asking the types of questions that they're going to ask themselves.
Right.
And what comes out of that, Lindsay, is really cool, is I'm pulling the genius out of your head.
Yes.
And then my team is then pulling together the blog post and the aha messages. So what happens, what's really cool about this is after the interview, a couple weeks later, we're sending you your manuscript and you get to review it. And it's so much easier to be critical on something somebody else wrote versus something you wrote. Now, just so you know, it's your content, right?
Yes.
It's your words. It's your expression. And by the way, when I do this in the interview, I may add value to your words. We give those to you as well, because you as the author, you own 100% of the copyright. We distribute around the world. We split profit 50-50. So if your book actually makes money, we split profit. But you're not writing your book to make money on book sales. You're writing your book because it is the best credibility piece on the marketplace. And when you think about the world of, I need to write my book myself, and you switch it to, oh, I'm going to talk to Mitchell and his team and they're going to write it for us. All of a sudden, and then you think to yourself, I don't need just one book. Actually, Lindsay, in your business, you need at least 6. Based on our conversation ahead of time.
Yes, I can write. Yes, there's enough.
Yeah, but all of a sudden, if you change your framework, you're like, oh, I see how we can do that. And at any point in time in your life, you could always do the great American novel, but that's not book 1.
Yeah, totally. I see your point. I think we put too much, or I do anyways, put too much weight on that first book that you feel like it has to be everything. And it has to like have so much stuff in it and solve so many problems for it to have value. But
oh, I know it. But let me add one more thing. I know we're getting close to our time. Here's the fascinating part. Books should also not be 2-dimensional objects. Mm-hmm. So a book is typically something we think about as a physical object, and having it paperback and hardcover. Just with our books, we print color on the inside, so it's really powerful. We also let people read their audiobook as part of the process. So
nice.
Your book will be on Audible. And what's also interesting is we create 7 videos just as part of our package. And that is you essentially giving a 30 to 60 second summary of each chapter. Mm-hmm. Now, here's what's happening. If we're doing a book on funnels, one of the things, Lindsay, I'd suggest that you do is you have potentially even in the introduction. So you could write your own introduction, right? And you could say, the world of funnel management and computers and technology and how we sell continues to change. Click on this URL or scan this QR code to go to a video where I give you a 5-minute, what is the state of the union today?
Nice.
Now, what's interesting is your book is referencing that.
Yeah.
But in essence, you're referencing a short URL, and every year you go and update the video.
Yeah. Sweet. I love all those little hacks. And to have someone just take it over. And I love that you, just in case people weren't aware, obviously you ghostwrite, but you also help publish it, distribute it, and do all those moving pieces. Because those pieces, especially from a techie standpoint, when it comes to Amazon and Kindle and Audible and all that kind of stuff, a lot of entrepreneurs do get hung up on those pieces.
Oh, and I have a 21-year-old. And since he was able to talk, there was one phrase I always share with him because he's very capable. And the phrase is, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Ooh, yes.
And so can anyone self-publish? Of course you can. But I have to tell you, at the end of the day, if you write your book and publish your book, for most people, if you're lucky, you're making 20 cents an hour. Mm-hmm. So
I know.
The better way is finding somebody you feel comfortable being a partner with. And that's why we do the 50-50 profit split. As a matter of fact, on AHA Books, the author gets 51% of profit. And so we do charge up front. But then after that, we split profit because it makes you feel a little bit more like a partner. And you know what? When Amazon, inevitable, in the time that your book is on Amazon, they will screw things up at least 3 or 4 times. So who fixes it? Well, we do if we're your publisher, right? If a newfangled software ebook vendor comes out and you want to be part of that, we'll get you on there. If a couple other authors are asking, we're going to get there quicker than you may have seen it, right? Because that's the benefit of using a hybrid publisher with so many authors is we keep seeing new things. So we publish the first book ever on LinkedIn, the first book ever on Twitter. We're often playing with new technology before people get there. And so if this is not the world you live in, focus on what you do well.
Yeah, true.
We focus on what we do well.
Absolutely. Amen to that, Mitchell.
Aha.
I know. That's amazing. And that is so true. And I do, I'm all for outsourcing and working in your lane of genius and getting the support you need to take more action and to grow your business faster. So awesome. Now, how can people find you so that if they're, they have that book in their head and they need to get their message out, where do they go to get help from you?
Sure. I used to rattle off like 5 or 10 different URLs, but let me give you one. It's my name, Mitchell Levy, 360.com. So MITCHELLLEVY, so that's 3 L's in a well, 360.com. And what you'll be able to see there is a 2-minute customer testimonial. You'll get access to my calendar if you want to book time and talk about it. You could connect to me on social media, see some of the things that we're seeing, saying, and sharing. And that's probably the best way. I mean, we have lots of tools and technologies. I've got a radio station that we'll put your book on, and you can see all that from MitchellLevy360.com.
Perfect. And obviously I'll have all those good links on the show notes. So of course, this week's 15-minute cruise to move the needle in your business has come to an end. Thank you so much, Mitchell. You've changed my view on writing a book so it doesn't feel so heavy. And yeah, your approach is, I feel like a weight has been lifted from my shoulders.
Oh, that's beautiful. I love it. Great to hear.
Awesome. So if you're looking to achieve faster growth through blogs, videos, podcasts, and sales funnels, look no further than smoothbusinessgrowth.com. So have a profitable and productive week, folks, and may the wins always be at your back.